How many convicts were in the first fleet? It's a question that leads us back to a time when a journey across the world was a last resort, a desperate solution to Britain's overflowing prisons. Imagine being packed into a ship with no way to know if you'd survive the grueling voyage or what awaited you on the other side. This isn't just a number. It's a story of survival, endurance, and a chapter in history that would change Australia forever. Stick around, because by the end, you'll find out just how many convicts embarked on this extraordinary journey. It was 1787, and Britain was in crisis. Prisons were overcrowded, crime was on the rise, and society was facing a breaking point. With nowhere left to send its convicts, Britain looked to a faraway land barely known to the people at the time, Australia. They decided to establish a penal colony, a place where prisoners could be sent to serve their sentences and start anew. This bold plan led to the gathering of 11 ships at Portsmouth Harbor, later known as the First Fleet. The journey would be a grueling one, with convicts, officers, and sailors all crammed into confined spaces. The conditions were rough, disease was rampant, food was rationed, and the seas were unforgiving. Imagine being on one of these ships, surrounded by strangers, facing weeks of uncertainty. The convicts had left behind everything they knew in Britain, facing months of hardship before they would even see the Australian coastline. Day after day, the fleet sailed through rough seas and harsh storms, pressing forward despite the challenges. The convicts endured sickness, hunger, and exhaustion. They were packed into the lower decks with little space and almost no privacy. Each one was hoping for something different on the other side of the world, but they were all bound by the same fate, a forced journey to a new, unknown land. The weeks turned into months, and the First Fleet sailed ever closer to Australia. It was a journey like no other, a test of strength, endurance, and hope. The officers managed the convicts as best they could, while the sailors kept the ships moving through unpredictable weather and rough waters. Every day, they grew closer to their destination, yet no one could be sure what awaited them upon arrival. So, how many convicts were actually in the First Fleet? After more than 8 months at sea, they finally arrived on the Australian shore. There were around 750 convicts aboard the First Fleet, each one taking part in the beginning of Australia's colonial history.